Hello, people. It's Rick, the kid with the hot bars here, and we have another special guest on the Backyardi'Yinz interviews and backyard wrestling stories. Tonight, we are graced with the presence of our GBYWN World Heavyweight Champion. You might know him as Radley Belmont. I know him as Rad Hazard. How you doing tonight, buddy?
I was actually going to start this by saying that, so I might as well do it because obviously it says Radley Belmont on there, but come on. The people that are watching this, they know it's Rad Hazard.
Yeah, they absolutely came just for that. So a lot of them are going to be clicking off right about now.
Oh, no.
So you are not only the GBYWN World Champion, but you're also the GTS Legendary Internet Champion or something like that, right?
Very close. Legendary YouTube champion. I got the other belt over here. I didn't know if I was going to bring it out or not, but
yeah, well, you got the one that we came to see with our backyard eyes.
You damn right.
And speaking of backyard eyes, always what we're here to talk about on Golden Triangle Media. So let's kick it off with the way that I like to kick it off with most people. WWE has told us over the years not to try this at home. What was it that made you decide to thumb your nose at that and give it a go?
I'm sure the original answer for all of us is that we're idiots. But
yeah, absolutely, yeah. But if you look past that part and like what flipped the idiot switch, right?
I'll tell you the exact story because it's a fun little story. I don't know if anybody knows this. I lived in a trailer park for about 4 or 5 years when I was in Las Vegas. I lived in multiple places in Vegas. But when you're in a trailer park, there's not a lot of things to do. I mean, drugs, having pregnancies. But the other thing was this particular trailer park, had like 30 or 40 kids living in it. So everyone was into the Attitude Era. I'll tell you right now, I was the only guy that watched WCW, but I didn't care. I was a WCW guy. And everyone started doing the backyard wrestling thing in the local park in the center of the trailer park. They had a whole park with a pool and everything. And they were literally just going out doing what I guess you'd call backyard wrestling. Not the kind of backyard wrestling we do, you know what I'm saying? But they were doing that kind of stuff. And I think the thing that hooked me about it was that not only did I get to do the spear because I was a big Goldberg mark and I wanted to spear everybody all the time, but the local bully that we had at our elementary school decided to come in and and wrestle with us. And he was like, I mean, we're kids, man. We're like 9 here. So these kids are shooting on each other and they don't even know what that's called. You know what I mean? Biggest bully in the park comes up to me and wants to wrestle me. And I had this cardboard belt that said WCW World Champion. I think I even had a US one. Dude, I had a WCW NWO Revenge Championship.
Awesome.
Right? So I'm doing all this. And I got these stupid belts. But I think the world of it. And this one kid comes up and he's like, "Oh, I'll pin you for it right now." And he comes at me and I'm freaking terrified because it's like legitimately this. I bet if I saw him now, he'd be like 5'4" or something. But to me, he's huge.
Right.
And looking back, I immediately went behind him and put on a picture perfect hammerlock. And in my memory, I'm like, wow, that was a picture perfect hammerlock. And I put it on this guy and he's like, "Get off, let me go. And I wouldn't let go because I knew he was going to kill me the second I let go. He starts to cry and he's like, "I give up, man. I give up. And he runs away from me. The second I let go, last thing I expected, he ran away from me, runs across the park. We're talking like 20 feet. He's running already. My mother's walking up. I honestly don't remember why she's walking up. Maybe she's coming to get me. I don't know. We didn't exactly have cell phones in 1998. But she's walking up, and the kid runs up and goes, "Your son hurt me. Your son broke my arm." And without any hesitation, dude, she goes, "Well, you probably deserved it."
Of course.
And he runs away. And I honestly, I don't have any memory of that kid ever again. But I felt I might as well have been Goldberg. I felt like the friggin' hero of my life, dude.
That's incredible, bro. You got the chance to knock out the school bully on your first, like, is this early on in your backyard wrestling stuff? Or what?
Yeah.
Wrestling?
Yeah. I mean, we're talking like I was doing it for like a month. Like,
yeah, right.
I mean, man. I was hooked with that forever, dude. And then after that, it was just once every 6 months with a friend in a front yard, in the living room, that kind of stuff, you know.
Yeah, and I mean, dude, honestly, whenever that's one of your first experiences, how can you not want more? Like, even if it's you're not always going to be able to put the bully on his back, but like you get that kind of adrenaline rush from this at such a young age. It's like, oh, I like that.
Dude, I was like Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania, dude, and I didn't even know it. I didn't even know it yet.
And I'm just picturing like little comb over Radley Belmont, like all tiny red cheeks, just handling business. That's fantastic.
Dude, have you seen me as a kid? Like, I put up photos before, the exact same haircut for 28 years, the first 28 years of my life. You can find a photo of me at like 1.5 years old. I have the exact same haircut all the way through Rad Hazard, all of that.
Fantastic. So a lot of people, whenever you first start, it's all Stone Cold Stunners and spears and messing around on the couch and all that shit. And that's like pretty much everybody's entry level. When did you find out that there was maybe a little more to this? Like what eventually became the community that we have? Like backyard wrestling isn't just messing with your friends. Sometimes you could put it on the internet and share it with people.
Right. And I definitely think of it as levels. There's a big difference between just having fun with your friends, which is great, and what we were doing, or what eventually became what we were doing, like the backyard wrestling style and all that kind of thing. My first exposure to that, and I'm sure a lot of people my age might be the same way, was those Best of Backyard Wrestling DVDs and VHS tapes. Like I had one of those. I think I got it at like a Pep Boys while we were waiting for the car to get fixed. I bought it. It was at the register, and I bought it, right? So I buy one of those in like 2002, 2003, whatever it was. Years later, we're talking like I'm in college, 2007 or maybe early 2008, and I'm hanging out with some of my friends. We're literally like the stereotypical teenage room, there's smoke everywhere. Everyone's got their girlfriend in the room. We're all trying to hide from from parents and stuff. We're all in the same house. Nobody's there except us. And we were kind of bored all the time. So we were watching random, like, I remember we were watching like Japanese dub movies and stuff. I would bring Best of Backyard Wrestling, the DVD, to the house and we'd watch it. And in seeing how like people were really into that, like my friends who didn't watch Backyard Wrestling or any wrestling, I was kind of out of the loop. After the Benoit stuff, I was out for like 2 years, you know? It was I couldn't watch wrestling after that for
so like yeah, it personally affected you then. That was a choice you made.
Yes, absolutely. I remember literally I was at a hotel for a meeting because I was a manager at a time for a photo studio, and I literally turned and I saw the television had a picture of him, and it just didn't know what the heck was going on, and obviously we found out. But well, that's another story for another time. But watching those videos, seeing how excited everyone was, it made me want to find more for us to watch. So I got home, got on YouTube, and that's where I started finding stuff. And I remember I remember very well, weirdly enough, because I've been landed on my head a million times. I can barely talk right now. But I remember the first video I saw was like two 8-year-olds in a living room. And I was like, oh, that was weird. I don't want to watch this. And the second video I found had Marcus Santafonte in it.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah, it was a UCW video. It was probably like it was probably Kokiju Wrecking Crew versus 2 other people in like a tag team match.
Uh-huh.
And from there, I was putting tons of comments in the videos. I was showing other people those videos, and it spread from there. So literally, UCW was my first introduction to the Link and the GBYWN era.
Yeah. And funny you should bring up those tapes because like you said, a lot of us pretty much went through the same thing. Mine wasn't even the DVD. I had VHS tapes, and that was the beginning of my introduction into it. Well, my friend had the VHS tapes, but I just did an interview. I was in your chair as opposed to the interviewer side of it with a channel called BYW History that's on YouTube, and he's putting out clips from his days wrestling in California, and he used to lurk on the Link, and he also got his start with the BYW tape. So I'm pretty sure that that's a rather common thing for people our age. Mm-hmm. I know people that are really old, like Airborne Extreme, probably had other intros into backyard wrestling, but where we found it, most of us, was those backyard wrestling tapes. And I mean, you know, I could still picture spots that I saw, and I forget the name of it, but there was like the one really long match that took place over like 3 parts or something like that over the course of the tape. Yeah, those things are iconic for sure.
Let me tell you though, the one I remember, obviously it was like a 2-hour tape. The one thing I remember that never left my memory, there was a gun ladder match where you had to climb the ladder to get a gun and
use it.
And use it. You have to use it to win the match. You don't just climb and get the gun. You have to use it. And it was just random dude and a random masked dude. Masked dude, and they're fighting in the front yard. They fight in the front yard, blah, 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 blah. Masked dude goes all the way up, grabs the gun, and then as he's taking the gun down, he shoots himself in the leg and falls off the ladder. And he falls off the ladder, and the other guy picks up the gun, and he's won the match.
Oh, that got me. Oh man,
I'll never forget that.
Cold over here, man, and that hit me in the right spot. Definitely can appreciate that type of stuff for sure. That's what it's all about. Oh, yeah. So you find Marcus Santafonte and UCW on YouTube. You start diving in, figuring out that there's maybe a little bit of a community to this type of stuff. So that is going to lead us to your show that you did, Backyard Wrestling Weekly. I'm sure that you got almost 100 episodes, if not 100 or more than. It seemed like you had a ton. Mm-hmm. But what was the genesis for Backyard Wrestling Weekly? Did you find GBYWN first and then decide to make this channel, or was it vice versa?
I'm pretty sure I found the GBYWN forum first, but not by too long of a time frame. Mm-hmm. Because before that, I did a page called Backyard Wrestling World, I think it was, and I did that for a few months, and it was just me linking videos to all these shows, and it was so many random shows, but it was just whatever I could do to kind of it was me trying to do a forum before I even knew there was a forum, so it didn't last very long, but obviously like UCW and a couple other ones were on there for a while. Once I found the GBYWN, which wasn't very hard to find, you search Backyard Wrestling, it comes up immediately. It's like the third option or whatever it was. Once I found that, obviously, I lived in Vegas. I was so far away. I was far away from, like, the closest Fed that was in the GBYWN forum was like 6 hours away or something like that. Mm-hmm. But meanwhile, like I said, I was going to college at the time. I was going to college for media journalism because I wanted to be a news anchor or at least a writer, that kind of thing. So when I interviewed for CBS News in Las Vegas, I was trying to get in as a cameraman there for Channel 8 News in like the noon shift. The big thing everyone told me from the college to the CBS affiliate to all that stuff was like, the more samples you have of your work, the better. And I had a lot of samples from high school, but that at this point that had been like 2 years removed. So doing Backyard Wrestling Weekly at the very beginning was just me trying to have not that I was going to give them to the CBS affiliate, but it was something for me to sample and practice to have for what I was hoping would be a news career. So, I literally was a news anchor for my high school. And so doing that, knowing how the clips worked, trying to fit everything into, I think it was 15 minutes back then. Those were live broadcasts on our school. So I have no footage of them. They were all live. But yeah, Backyard Wrestling Weekly was just a project I was trying to do because I was a big fan of what everyone was doing. I thought it was super unique and original. And I only knew so much at that point. I mean, it only got better after that. But yeah, Backyard Wrestling Weekly, I even remember my first episode I put as Daniel Baldwin because I didn't have a name for anything. I was just, this is me. I'm just reporting the news, And like having the GBYWN branding and all that stuff, that came late. I think that came like a full year later when it was actually like, okay, we're going to try and make this the hub for the alliance and all that kind of stuff. Originally, I just wanted to throw out clips and get people to notice each other. And I thought that worked pretty well, pretty quickly. But there was no end game for that other than I just wanted samples for the news broadcasts.
Right. So fantastic story. That all adds up. I never would have guessed that that was the case, but like looking back on it, I mean, it makes so much sense.
Mm.
You did. I mean, I would assume, I don't know this for sure because I've never asked you about it, but you did all the editing and downloading of these matches and clipping. You did all of it yourself?
Yeah, I did everything myself. To this day, I still rip every single video of matches I'm in and stuff. Like, you have all that footage I sent you. But even like on my independent stuff, I keep everything. If a podcast mentions me, I'll rip it, from YouTube that day and just have it just in case, I never know when I need it, or if somebody blows up later and it's like, oh yeah, they mentioned me in this, or whatever, like whatever. That kind of stuff has happened over the years. And just so you know, I did. So technically, I was gonna get the CBS job, but we're talking late 2008, and the recession hit. So rather than me get the job, which was practically guaranteed because I was replacing somebody who was retiring and asked for me, they just got rid of the job entirely, and it became a
Yeah.
So that's why I didn't pursue it any more than that. And yeah, now I still get dumped on my head for funds. But yeah, all the editing was me. I did Pinnacle Studio. To this day, I still use Pinnacle Studio when I have to edit stuff. Obviously, I don't have to edit as much. It's very primitive.
I'm not used to, man. It's hard to leave the operating system and like
Yeah.
the layout that you're used to. So many people have told me that I need to switch over to Premiere, and I just can't. Like, I just want to use Vegas because that's what I know. Like, I feel I can learn a new system at 33, but I have 15 years experience on Vegas, and I know exactly where to click and how to get to where I want to go to make stuff happen. Like, sure, is Premiere better and does it have more options and really unlock your creativity? Sure, but I wouldn't know how to find the cut button, Like,
Right.
I need to know how to use what I'm using.
The reason I like Pinnacle so much is because everything was off of the mouse. You just right click the mouse and all the options come up for you. You don't have to remember keys. You don't have to press anything on the screen. It was like editing for dummies, other than like Windows Media Editor or something like that. And I've been told the same thing. I was, oh, you should use Vegas. You should use Pinnacle. And I would just look at like a video of it and be like, nah. And at some point, Pinnacle actually changed their system, like maybe like 2019 or something, to where it was a little more complicated. And even that, I was like fighting using it. And I just had to relent. It's a little more annoying now, but I couldn't do it I couldn't edit a movie or anything with the crazy systems they have now. No way.
Right. So that you're starting to do Backyard Wrestling Weekly. Maybe making a little bit of headway in terms of like people knowing who you are. You had BBW Battleborn Wrestling going on, which we'll talk about more at maybe some other time. But you had said yourself a little earlier that you were in Vegas, right? And most of the stuff that was going on in at least most popular parts of the backyard wrestling community were happening in like Northeast United States, other side of the country. 2009 comes rolling around, get towards the end of the year, and you find yourself going to Indiana for your first backyard wrestling super show, right?
Yes. And well, hold on. I don't think you know. Maybe you don't know this, Rick, or maybe you forgot. I did Westfest before that as well. Do you remember Westfest? Do you know where that is?
I do. It happened in a ring, right?
It wasn't a ring. It was in Salt Lake City, Utah. That's where I won the U.S. title, the GBYWN U.S. title. That was technically my first super show. That's where I had the truck accident.
Now, was that with people in the community, like people that we would be familiar with?
FX was the champion. He was GBYWN champion. He defended it. Not only did he win the Battleborn belt, he kept the GBYWN belt, and he wrestled me for the GBYWN belt that day.
And that was in Utah in 2009?
Yeah, that was in Salt Lake City.
Everywhere in 2009. He was
Well, so he came with us. He flew into Vegas and then drove with us the 9 hours there.
Wow.
Yeah. And that I'll tell you that story real quick just to get that off the ground. I didn't know I was driving that day. And nowadays, outside of GTS, maybe, I drive to every show. I'm always the driver. I always assume I'm the driver, and 99% of the time I am the driver. This was the first Super Show. This is the first time I've ever traveled to a show of any kind. Salt Lake City. I didn't think I was driving that day, so I stayed up all night. I went to the gym. I had college. I did work. I got off work at like, I don't know, it was like 11, 10. I think I got off work at 10:30 p.m. And I thought, all right, we're going to leave at like 4 a.m. or something. I'm just going to sleep in the car on the way there. We all get together. FX is already there. We had a guy named King Murder with us who did promos. He never wrestled, but he did promos with us, and he was a really funny guy. So we brought him along, and he did end up having a match that weekend. But we get there, and it's like, oh, no, we got to split the cars. We got to take 2 vehicles. And I was like, oh, damn, that sucks for me.
Yeah.
I am exhausted right now. And, and I've never left the state on my own. So, like, I'm, like, kind of terrified. And I remember they said to me, oh, it's just 4 hours. It's a 4-hour drive. And to me, even then, I'm like, nowadays, 4 hours is like, I've driven, 10 hours. I've driven 12 hours, But back then, I'm like, 4 hours. Holy cow.
Now, was this MapQuest directions you were using?
So we were going to go in 2 vehicles. The head vehicle would have MapQuest. I'd be following.
Okay.
But back then, we used MapQuest for everything. So I was flying blind, dude, because I didn't print out MapQuest. I didn't know I was going to drive.
Right.
So they said 4 hours, no problem. And I went, okay. Hour 9, I fall asleep at the wheel, and we go off the highway, and we hit the dirt. So I feel the rumble. I overcorrect, go off the other side. Truck rolls 4 times into the desert. It was a really weird sight to see because we had all the Balborn wrestling belts were with us, and just you see like 6 belts just tossed into the desert because they were in like the back of the truck, essentially, like in the container of the truck that had fallen off the truck when it flipped.
Uh-huh.
And the whole thing was like, oh, there wouldn't be enough room in the car. Well, we had to all get in the car and there was plenty of room. It was fine. But that's the annoying part. But so we flip, other car drives up, and FX and I are standing there. Here's the other thing. So I wake up, truck flips. I remember it. I remember it flipping. I couldn't see anything really ahead because it was rotating. We land. My first instinct is get out. The window is gone now. Window shattered. So I just unhook my seatbelt, go through the hit hood, jump out. I don't know why I didn't use the door. I guess I assumed the door was crushed. I have no idea. I've never been in an accident before.
Right. You just did what they do in the movies.
Yeah. So I jump out, boom, I'm off the hood. Now it was like a desert area where we hit. So there's dirt everywhere in the air. Looks like a missile went off because all I could see is smoke and dirt. Not from smoke from the truck, but just bunch of dirt in the air, a lot of smoke. I'm outside the truck for maybe 10 seconds, and our buddy King Murder walks out from the smoke like it's a movie, dude. He was unconscious. He was sleeping when we crashed. I'm telling you, like 10 seconds after I get out of the truck, he walks out, already has a cigarette in his mouth, and as calm as possible. He just walks up right to my face and just goes, so, what happened?
I don't know, man. Why don't you take a look around and you tell me what you think?
And I was like devastated. I don't know if I've ever been more devastated. I was like, I flipped the truck. I don't know what it's going to do. He's just like, yeah. And the other car comes up. We all rendezvous. We grab the belts. Police cruiser comes up. Nobody ever called the cops. There was no one around. We're in the middle of the desert. Police cruiser just drives up, and the guy drives up, gets out, and we were able to audibly see him go, oh, and then he called for an ambulance. And later on, King Murder, our buddy King Murder, when the guy comes over and gives us our report, he goes, why'd you go, what was that about? He goes, oh, well, we have accidents out in this area maybe 2 or 3 times a month. And you people are the first people in about 6 months who were alive. So I didn't even think about calling an ambulance. Keep in mind, we're all perfectly fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was like, yeah, so I didn't even think about calling an ambulance. But yeah, you guys are all okay. So I called. And ambulance showed up and just like looked at us, and that was it.
A quick check.
My other favorite part is that the cop.
Other favorite part.
This is my favorite part right now.
Okay.
Because you have a favorite part from a tragic moment, right?
Exactly right. Yeah.
My favorite part of the Titanic sinking. Everyone's got a favorite part. But cop comes up, puts the report on the table, and he goes, "All right, all you guys got a report here. Just tell us what happened. If you want to write anything," and he ends it by saying, "You can write whatever you want." And our buddy King Murder immediately goes,
It would be him. I knew it would be him.
He goes, "I'm sorry, did you say I could write whatever I want here in this space?" He goes, "Yeah, you can write whatever you want. Just know it'll be under our records from now on." And it's just a paragraph. It's a blank paragraph, couple of lines. He immediately grabs he's the first guy, immediately grabs the pen, and in all capitals across the paragraph, not in the lines, across the paragraph, he writes, "I'm unkillable," and crosses the bottom of it and hands it to the cop, who just stares at it like, "What? Okay. All right."
Ridiculous.
Yeah, he's still unkillable to me. I'll tell you that right now. He's King Murder. He does the murdering. Nobody murders him.
He is the kill.
But yeah, and then after that, we all went to, I want to say it was an IHOP. I believe it was an IHOP. And we all walked in covered in dirt. And I remember the lady coming up going like, "Do you folks need help?" Like that. And we're like, "Yeah, we need friggin' pancakes, bro."
Yeah. So yeah, from tragedy to pancakes, no doubt.
Yeah. And we went, had our pancakes. So got to the show. I won the U.S. title. We had an Iron Man match, a 10-minute Iron Man match, because they were afraid of me wrestling longer than that. So FX and I had a 10-minute Iron Man match. And then we drove home in the normal car. And when I got home, I told my mom what happened, and she was like, I think the only thing she really said about that was like, "Your dad's not gonna like that. Your dad's gonna be real mad." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm sure." And I felt real bad about, and she knew. My dad didn't talk to me for 3 or 4 days, just not yelling, nothing, just didn't say anything. And then my mom finally showed him the photos of the truck. And that's like immediately when she did that, and I came home from work or whatever, he came over and was like, "You're lucky to be alive. I'm real glad you're alive."
Yeah, right.
And, and that was kind of the end of that. I was terrified of driving after that. Obviously, I drove a '95 Ford Ranger not hatchback, with the 4 doors, and my parents had a normal Ford Ranger. No, I had the normal one. They had the deluxe one. So they had a bigger version of the truck I had. Just like when I owned a Mustang, if you remember my Mustang BXW.
Of course I do. I called it a Cavalier.
Yeah, there you go. And geez, that thing was a hunk of garbage, let me tell you. But I tried to look cool in it. But yeah, when we got my Mustang, they both drove up in their Mustangs, and the guy standing there with the car was like, "Oh, okay, you guys know what you're doing. I can't really screw you guys over." All right. Well, but anyway, so their plan was when I went out to California to see my cousins, and they purposely took the truck with them, so I would have to sit in the back of the truck while they off-roaded in the California desert area. So I would just freak out like a little baby until I finally just stopped freaking out, and that was how I got over it.
Yeah,
I don't know if
you got to do it right. You just got to get back in the water, get back on the horse.
That's exactly how it was, and I don't know if I would ever do that to anybody else, but it sure worked for me. So I guess I recommend it. I don't know, but
I mean, yeah. I like it. That's what I tend to do as well.
Especially
like in my profession, I'm a chef. So if I burn myself, I can't stay away from hot stuff. I just got to go grab the next hot thing. So you just keep on pushing and figure out the way to not burn yourself next time.
Just, I assume it's like when you get poisoned, you don't eat more of the poison to say stop it, right? Is that?
Yeah, certain times it doesn't work. Definitely. Okay. Not all analogies work for all analogies.
Gotcha.
So you drown your sorrows in some syrup, and you get the champion's purse and walk out with the GBYWN United States Championship. And then we're on our way to the Midwest Extravaganza in Indiana, 2009, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's where we met.
So I assume, I'll tell you this, I assumed that was the last time I was ever going to wrestle.
Yeah.
I didn't think I'd be doing it anymore. And I didn't wrestle again for like 16 months. So I kept doing Backyard Wrestling Weekly, but I didn't think of myself as a wrestler. Really didn't. I was just like, it would be like, I remember FX once said, it's like if Michael Cole was our United States champion.
Oh, no.
And I mean, I kind of took it that way in my mind. Like, I was just like, when Vince McMahon was WWF champion, you know, like, all right. So I tried my best to have 2 really good matches. I'm sure if I looked at them now, I think they're absolute garbage. But I took a really good RKO on a chair, and I remember that and how gross that looked. I literally got RKO'd out of my shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see it in the shot. I take the RKO on the chair, and you see my shoe one of my shoes going in the sky.
Just last episode, we did my girlfriend Ashley. We did where I power bombed her onto Devin's knees. And
I saw that. Yep.
Her shoe went flying. That tends to be whenever you really take the bump, the shoes go flying.
That's how you know, right there. That's how you know. I remember Patrick Ray Wilson, Wade, once he wore slippers during a whole match because he knew at the end of the match he was going to get German suplex. And it's him. He's a huge dude. You know that. He's going to get German suplex by this buff guy. And he wanted it to look so amazing that he actually flipped his flippy-flops off as he went into the sky. So he took the German and the slippers went into the crowd. And people went ballistic.
He wanted to do that. He wanted Goldberg to spear him out of his shoes.
There you go. But yeah. So I remember, anyway, getting back to Midwest. So I did Westfest, did Midwest Extravaganza. I remember my weird thing for you. We were at a hotel between the 2 days. And when we were there, I was sitting on the bed and I felt something tugging my foot. I wasn't wearing shoes. I was wearing socks. Something was tugging my toe. And I looked down and there was a man biting my toe. And that's how I met, like, actual face-to-face. That's how I met Devin Bliss.
Oh, I knew it was going to be Devin. It had to be Devin. He was doing all that weird type of stuff in 09.
I don't remember, but I feel like when I looked down, he just looked up at me and went, "Oh, hey."
Yeah.
Like,
what are you doing here?
Oh, you. But yeah, and so
my memory from you from that weekend was the chair shot, right?
Yes, and that's really the end of it. I was like, if you're gonna go out via death. So Pen Name was doing all the chair shots.
Did we all do our finisher to you?
So I don't remember which day it was. It might have been day 2, but as like in like a what would you call it? Not graduation, but for like yeah. Everyone was gonna do their finishers on me, and I don't remember who did. I think Castro gave me the kick first.
Yeah, and
I sold that. And everyone kind of just took it like, oh, it must have really hurt him. But I was like selling because I already had pro training at that point. So I was selling it. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then Domi was the second guy. And he did the head spike thing. And I remember I took that like perfect. I was exactly how I wanted to take it. And I think at that point, everyone was like, oh, he knows how to take bumps. Let's all get in on this. And I was into it, man. I thought it was great. I really did. I didn't think anything bad of it. And so everyone's giving me the finish. Everyone gives finishes. And once again, Devin Bliss grabs me for the vertebreaker.
Uh-huh.
And I know how to take not that I've ever taken one, but I know how to take a vertebreaker. I knew how to take that bump. He picks me up on his back, and I have my head back, which obviously you don't want to have your head back when you bump. But I knew I'm gonna tuck my head last second. And he holds me, and somebody says his head's down or something, and Devin goes, tuck your head. And I go, I know. And he goes, tuck your head. I go, I know. And he goes, I'm not moving until you tuck your head. And so I had to tuck my head. I was like, all right. And I took my head, and then he dropped. So Devin always cared, even if he tried to eat my socks.
Yeah, and socks can be delicious sometimes, depending off their Hanes or Fruit of the Loom, what have you.
I mean, I bet Devin would love to wrestle Mick Foley all the time, I'm sure.
No doubt. So that's the beginning stages of Rad Hazard Super Show era, and you thought it was the end, but
let me throw one thing out there.
Yeah, sure.
When I took the chair shot, I kept my eyes closed the whole time, so I didn't actually see what happened until afterwards. I remember a flash, so I might have got a concussion. Who the frick knows? That chair got signed by everyone there. And think of all the people that were there, how awesome that is.
Mm-hmm.
To this day, I have no idea where that chair went. I couldn't take it with me. So anybody who has that chair or knows where that chair is, I assume maybe Pen Name's house. I don't know.
Yes.
I will pay.
Positive.
Dude, I will pay to have that chair shipped to me. So whoever is out there, whoever knows, I don't care. I want that chair.
I remember 100% for sure. I remember the Pen Name having it. 100%
there you go.
For sure.
So yeah, I'm gonna have to get it from him. Oh, I mean, not to throw a wrench in things, but do you know about the Pen Name's U.S. title story?
I don't think so.
I had to buy a second U.S. title when I beat the Pen Name in 2011 because I don't know if we want to talk about that, but maybe that's the story for the future. I had to buy a second U.S. title because of what Pen Name did to the original U.S. title. I'll leave it at that. I'll leave it at that for the future.
So that was the end of 2009. You think you're done, and early 2010. So you didn't wrestle at all 2010, right? You were out of the game.
No match, no.
Early 2011, CCW has Welcome to the Real World in Indiana again. What made you decide to go back?
I can't really remember exactly what made me want to go back. I just know that I wanted to go back. I felt ready to go back. And I'd been able to save a lot of money and stuff. So in my mind, it's like, all right, we're going to get that US title and we're going to do a run and go all over the place. And I'd been doing Backyard Wrestling weekly for like a year and a half at that point. So I can't, maybe some other day I'll remember like, oh yeah, this exact moment is why I came back. But I think I just really wanted to try it again. I really wanted to do it, you know? And so being there felt amazing, dude. Really did.
Yeah, and it was at that show where you and I actually first I'm sure we said hello or whatever in 2009, but it was at that show where we actually sat down and had a conversation. And if I remember correctly, I think everybody in the hotel maybe went down to the pool or something, and you and I weren't too interested in that, so we hang out at the hotel room and just shoot the shit about backyard wrestling, right?
There we go. I've never been a pool guy. Even in January, I did a 3-day show in Connecticut, and they had a pool in the 3-story house that we were in. And I'm pretty sure I was the only guy that didn't go in the pool. I'm just not a pool guy.
But I remember in a match in Connecticut, you took a power bomb into a pool or something, right?
Well, that was Rad Hazard. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, I feel that for sure. Rad Hazard definitely likes himself a swim.
Just imagine, for me, that was really hardcore then, you know?
So we're talking about backyard wrestling, and I think I'm introducing you to what the link is, right? For the most part.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure. Maybe I'd heard like Scott or you heard of Yakuza J, but you were definitely the one that was like, bro, check this out for sure. Yeah.
So hanging out, I do a pretty decent job of trying to convince you that you should maybe come a little further northeast and see what those shows have to offer, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to bring that up if you didn't. You were the guy that convinced me to go to Northeast. I don't know if you said BXW, you probably did, but you were definitely like, hey, you should definitely start going to these other places. And I didn't have any plans to do that. I was just thinking, oh, CCW, and then if there's another Midwest extravaganza, like I was thinking that kind of thing. But there was no plan set in stone at all. So that was really awesome. I really thank you for that right here on camera. I thank you for that a lot.
Bruh, all of our lives have changed by sentences said to each other. Like, it's crazy how little things that we didn't realize at the time have completely changed what people did for the next 20 years of their lives. It's crazy.
Absolutely.
And in that time period, you were looking to potentially make a move eventually after you go up to BXW for the first time. You end up Chris Frank just popped me a little bit. So you go to BXW for the first time at PKM2 and you love it. You love the place. You love everything. And you decide you're moving to the Northeast.
So, actually, now that I think about it, Wade came to Vegas the previous, I want to say like October 2010 maybe. And we filmed, and I think it was 26 intros to Backyard Wrestling Weekly. I think it was exactly 26. So it's possible doing all that is a big part of why I was like, oh, we should have a match at a super show at some point, or maybe I'll come and do a couple super shows again. Like, so I don't think that was planned for me to be at. Yeah, it definitely wasn't planned for me to wrestle him at PKM2 or anything like that yet. But doing those Backyard Wrestling Weekly intros made me want to get to that super show, which then made me want to go to BXW. And Eric Williams hit me up pretty much right after you said that. I think he hit me up. I could be wrong. But either way, we talked about it. And he's like, oh, you can wrestle Wade since you guys are doing that TV show, the Backyard Wrestling Weekly intros and stuff. And we'll figure out what you do day 2 and blah, blah, blah. And we got this old guy named John the King who wants to fight you. And I was like, I don't know who that is, but okay. And I learned real fast. about John the King.
Yes, you did.
As everyone should. So I was in at that point. I was so in, dude. And I think PKM2 is probably the most like influential show I have ever done and maybe will ever do. Like, it changed my whole perspective on wrestling as a thing I want to do for the rest of my life, Like, I think I always wanted to do that, but like that was like, oh no, I need to do that. Like, I never felt more of a high from a wrestling show than like flying home from PKM2. I could have died on that plane and I would have been fine with that. Like, that's how I felt, dude. It was so good.
Anybody that wants to check out PKM2, we have it right here on the Golden Triangle Media YouTube channel, mostly thanks to Rad Hazard. I have some of my own footage on there. And honestly, a lot of the full matches that you're going to find here on Golden Triangle Media, especially whenever it came to BXW, were granted to us by Rad himself in a little hard drive exchange that we did about a year ago at this point. It's been a little while.
Pretty much.
But if there is footage to be had of any specific show, and there was a Rad match or a Sick Rick match, you will find it on Golden Triangle Media. Outside of that, I collected as much media as I possibly could from everybody. And PKM2 was our most recent upload. So if you want to see Rad's match that he had with Patrick Wade Wilson, I highly recommend it. It might have gotten washed over the algorithm a little bit because I've been uploading like crazy, and the views don't necessarily stack up whenever you're just shoving media at people constantly. But definitely go check out the Rad Hazard versus Patrick Wade Wilson GBYWN United States Championship match from Paul Kunkel Memorial 2. Has one of my favorite bumps that I've ever seen in my life, which was the obvious vertical pride driver on the ground. I ended up throwing that clip in the Backyard music video that I made to kind of restart this whole thing for us a little while ago.
Thank you.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, there's very few clips whenever I first started making that video that I knew was going to be in it, and that was definitely one of them. So yeah, go check out Rad stuff. You're going to see so much more of it here on Golden Triangle Media, as well as a lot of my stuff, unfortunately. I'm sorry for you, but you'll sit through it and you'll find your way to some Anarchy Andy matches along the way, so it'll be worth your time. Speaking of matches, right, just real quick off the top of your head, is there any favorite match that you were in that you could just name? Like, it just comes to your head right away, that was the one?
Yes. And obviously, I don't disparage any of the matches I've had. I really like all of them. But the way you said that, the very first match that always comes to my mind when someone says, what was your favorite backyard match? Is definitely from Goodbye BXW or BXW Goodbye 2015 when I wrestled Tim Lee for the GBYWN World Pure Championship. Because we had thought about that match for probably like 2 years at that point. We built it up for a couple of months back then, even though Tim wasn't there. We did like voiceovers and music stuff, and I was constantly being like haunted by this random person, and it was Tim Lee, and I still absolutely love that match. Obviously, it's not perfect, But to me, it was my favorite match I ever had in the yard. And I have a lot of favorite moments and a lot of favorite matches. That one just happens to have a lot more of the favorites in one match than anywhere else. And the ending was very emotional for me and Tim. I still like to look back at the last maybe 3 minutes of that match where we're just destroying each other with like lariats. I'm trying to hit him with I hit him with every one of my finishers that I had because I was like, this is the end. I'm just gonna have him kick out of every finisher I have, and then he just levels me with 3 lariats in a row. I absolutely love that match. I was very happy that we got to be the semi-main of the show, and dude, it was awesome. Especially after the day before I wrestled Chris Frank. So I had this like fun little comedy match. And then this second match, I was like ready to die pretty much in a Pure Rules. Plus it's Pure Rules. I know people thought Pure Rules was boring. I was a very technical guy at the time. So we made a very exciting Pure Rules match, in my opinion. I still love it.
Yeah, and I remember watching it from the crowd point of view. And I don't think I've ever watched it back, even though obviously I have it. I don't think I've ever watched it from the video standpoint. So my only memories are from the crowd. And like, even just from that, I had a pretty good idea that that's the match that you were going to say. So definitely makes sense to me. Definitely adds up. And, we were all emotional at Goodbye BXW. That was a hell of a thing to be a part of, to be honest. And like, honestly, very opposite of the feelings that were at It's Not Dead Yet last year. Like, it was almost like a rebirth and a hello. And even when people were leaving, not a lot of people felt the need to say goodbye because it's kind of just like, we're kind of back, baby. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So you were at It's Not Dead Yet. Obviously, you became our GBYWN World Heavyweight Champion there. And that's something that we'll have to talk about in the future at some point. The media for that show is kind of on a pause right now. We've had a lot going on over here in the GTM studios, but there's also some glitchy stuff that we're going to try and figure out. And but don't worry, the media is still coming. You will see the full match of Rad Hazard finally achieving the boyhood dream and becoming the champion of champions and the one and only belt on Earth that is governed by the people that fight for it, which is really cool.
You damn right.
And with that means eventually you're going to have to be a defending champion here. So we'll have to see what's going on with that, maybe coming up in July. Probably going to be there. Most likely I should be there.
I hope so.
You're our GBYWN champion, so you're going to have to make an appearance. Is there any matches that you remember from the crowd point of view watching as being your favorite?
So just so everyone knows, technically I've already defended this belt.
Okay.
Did you know that?
Yeah, it was at a Gabe Sayer show, right?
Yeah.
I knew about it. I don't think I've seen it, but
okay. Yeah, I defended this in front of a live audience, and it wasn't like, oh, he was the champion, so no, they announced it as a GBYWN World Title match. We defended it there. I represent wherever I go when I can, because not everybody allows that, obviously. And there's more. We filmed more stuff that hasn't come out yet, like a stare down between me and Doc Holliday with the belt raised above our heads.
Okay.
So keep an eye out for that. That did happen. We're teasing things for the future, whether I'm the champion or not, but hopefully I will be. But as far as Goodbye BXW, obviously the package pile driver off the roof is the first thing I think of in that sense of those crazy moments. But I don't think of this as a part of a match. That's why I kind of have to preface this. But just I'm emotional right now. But when the final match ended and everyone was just singing because they didn't want the show to end, and we were singing, I don't remember whose theme song or if it was just random songs from the audio, or I don't know. But we were singing songs and we just kept singing. And then at some point the lights went out and we still kept singing. And it was like how you really don't want the show to end because you feel like it's over. And I know a lot of people thought like all of backyard wrestling was over for them, at least, if not for everybody. And it wasn't, thank goodness. Like, it stopped for a while, for sure. But obviously the community that we have and you know this more than anything, you are the epicenter of the GBYWN, or the link, the backyard. Now you know that we are still alive and well, man, whether we're in a ring or not. And I think a lot of people even thought that our friendships were probably done, and that's just simply not the case. But I do remember a lot of people being teary-eyed. I remember a lot of people kind of not wanting to leave. And even when the lights were off, I couldn't see a damn thing anywhere, and I could just feel the sorrow. Even though there was a sense of accomplishment and like achievement, there was a lot of sorrow that it was over. And I'm glad that wasn't the end for most people. Obviously, it wasn't the end for me. It wasn't the end for some other people. But I feel like we're always trying to chase that dragon of, oh yeah, we'll do another reunion show here, and maybe we're still alive, guys. And it never really felt like we were alive still. And doing It's Not Dead Yet was the first time, maybe the first time since then, that was like, yeah, we are still alive. Like, we really do still have this going. That's what I think of. So I think of the sorrow of that moment mixed with the jubilation of how everyone was so happy leaving It's Not Dead Yet.
Yeah, man, it was a hell of a thing to be able to be in front of that line to figure out how we were going to make this happen. And I'd be lying if I said it hasn't changed my life all over again, man. I mean, like, look what we're doing right now. All this stuff doesn't happen. Like, people don't care this much about the stuff that I'm doing and we are currently doing as they would if It's Not Dead Yet hadn't happened. So like that, it was a huge rejuvenation for not only backyard wrestling, friendships, but for me personally, man. Like, it gave me a whole new lease on something that I wanted to be able to sink my creative teeth into. And it's just been a great thing. It's because I was like you, dude. I was doing all the editing. I was figuring all the stuff out. I was a moderator on the forums. Like, I was right there with you. We were running that whole line together.
Absolutely.
And whenever you lose something that you put that much of your effort and life into, maybe you get a little lost sometimes. And being able to find a path that suits me again has been fantastic. And I just have the community to thank for that. And that's why I wanted so much to be able to give back with the show. And I'm hoping that XWA is able to bring that same emotion out of us. It's always hard to do a sequel, but I know they have it in them. But that's their show, right? And this one here that we're on is my show. And we talked a lot tonight about that'll be a time for a story for another time, I don't know. Maybe we have an idea what those other times might be.
You might be right. I mean, we've been talking a lot lately. We've been talking since you put out that backyard music video last year. And obviously, everyone who's watched the Backyardi'Yinz podcast, awesome stuff. Everyone loved it. It pretty much spawned We Aren't Dead Yet, or Isn't Dead Yet. And so I love the fact that you're doing these interviews as well. This is fantastic. Another way to reach out and keep the community together. But there's always room for more, right? There's so many stories. We're never going to get to them if we just have an interview here and there. I personally, I know you're a historian of backyard wrestling. You're the ultimate historian right now. I like to think I was a historian for a long time. We want to keep these memories in everyone's minds all the time. We want to record them for prosperity. And I think the best way to do that, if you don't mind me making the announcement now, is that I think you and I, Sick Rick and Rad Hazard, have ourselves a nice little podcast. I mean, we've been thinking about a lot of names here and there, but we'll figure it out. I'm thinking Yard Times, like a Dusty Rhodes, like, Daddy, get the Yard Times, baby. You know what I'm saying, Daddy? Tower Power. We'll figure it out, but it might be Yard Times, might be something else. But I think with you and me working together on this, I mean, hopefully the lighting will work better on my side. You look fantastic over there. We'll have a lot of fun. We'll figure out exactly how we're going to do it, when we're going to do it, but it's going to start soon. I'm sure of it. We'll talk about a lot of subjects, not just the stuff we talked about tonight, but a lot of stuff, whether it's a show, a wrestler, a belt, a title reign, a tournament, whatever we talk about, just backstage stories, I know a lot of stuff. You know a lot of stuff. Maybe, I think we can make this happen. I think it'll be very fun to tell these stories. Some have never been recorded anywhere. And I'm sure a lot of people will correct us on what we remember compared to what they remember. But that's all in the fun of it,
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I love the idea of being able to get together with you and talk about some of the footage that that you gave me and some of the footage that I got without you knowing about, and we can riff about what we both know in our own perspectives. And it's going to be really nice to have somebody else to bounce some of this stuff off of again, because since the Backyardi'Yinz podcast has gone on its hiatus, it's been a whole lot of just me, and I would like at least a partner in crime, right? And like both of us, you got Rick, you got Rad, you got 2 R names with 3 letters in it. I mean, how can it possibly go wrong, right?
Yeah, the R&R Express is here, man, and I don't have to be. Listen, I don't have to be the mean old angry Rad Hazard. I can actually just tell you, how things were and how much fun we used to have back in the day, and that's very exciting to me as someone who didn't get to really do that back in the day. So
it'll also be great to have like watch-alongs with some of this stuff and invite some of the people. Maybe like somebody we have a match. We have a good amount of Chris Frank footage from when he was over the hill. We could throw that on, have him in the chat, have him tell us how he can't do that kind of stuff anymore. It'll be fantastic for everyone.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah. So Yard Times, most likely. We really like that name, but it might change. Who knows? But we do like Yard Times. Coming to a YouTube near you on Golden Triangle Media at some point in the not too distant future. I am going on vacation starting tomorrow, so I'm going to have a week off. I have some stuff queued up to upload onto GTM here. And before we get out of here, I'm going to take a page out of the book of our friend Tom Bryce and just look at the comments real quick, right?
Yes, please.
Shout out Tom on us using StreamYard. I kind of stole that from him too because it's just so convenient, man. If you are trying to do anything like this, I definitely recommend StreamYard. Definitely recommend checking out SportsWire and Tom Bryce because that's one of the main reasons why we're able to do this right here. He gave us a platform that I really enjoyed. So I kind of yanked it from him. Sorry about that, buddy. But he's famous, dude. Everybody knows who he is. He has guests for days. He doesn't need us 10 times a month. So let's go through real quick and see what's up. We got some Sean Jovi. Gotta love to see it.
Red Hazard.
Yeah, you gotta give it to him. Airborne Extreme, the rare hammerlock victory.
I might be the only one, but I did it.
Yet another person with the tapes. Gotta love that.
I love it.
Sean Jovi found it through ICW, which I think a lot of people did on YouTube. They were fairly popular, right?
Yeah, they had a lot of views early on when it was like ICW and if you remember GCW in Georgia, they were the 2 that actually got a ton of views where everyone else was like 200, 300. We didn't care. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We have our man Combat Kid in here just to boo you.
I'm not heel anymore. Come on. I'm a good guy.
Yeah, but I think that he's just more or less angry about what's on your shoulder. I think that he has some eyes for it.
All right, hope you're ready to head spike, buddy. Let's go.
Let's see who else do we have here. Hi from Zilla to Golden Triangle Media. We appreciate you being in here tonight, Zilla. We have the First Lady of GTM, Ashley, saying what's up.
Nice to see you.
She was very excited to hear that I was going to be doing something with you. She's a big fan of yours. Anytime that the community is mentioned, she always mentions how much she liked Rad and appreciated the way that Rad treated her. So shout out to you on that one.
Shout out. Thank you.
Baby K. Hi, Rad. Sorry for bullying you. You know what? I think we can all get together and apologize to Rad for bullying him, but I think it was the comb over, bro. I just think it just felt like you were 35 whenever you were 23.
Listen, I was the most annoying looking weatherman you've ever seen in your life. I totally get it. I would have, you know what Matt DeMorris once said? He said, if I didn't know who you were, I'd want to punch you in the face. He also one time, I think I did a kip up or something. I was laying on the ground and I kipped up and he didn't kip up. He goes, Rad Hazard, I want your bones. God
damn it, do I love Matt DeMorris. That is my favorite human. Dude, I
I'm gonna
was
be on
20.
a. I'm gonna. I'm
I
a.
rode with him down to Florida with Chris Tiffer, and it
Yeah.
is a lifetime memory.
So, fun fact: I'm wrestling at a wedding with Matt DeMorris. I think in August. So he and I are going to be riding up to that wedding to wrestle at a wedding, not each other, but we're going to wrestle at a wedding. That's going to be real weird, but real
So
cool.
what you're telling me is I had to pop the question to somebody a couple months before It's Not Dead Yet to get Matt to come to my show.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's too late.
Damn.
Sorry.
I know that B Snow would have said yes too. It's rough. FX, haven't heard that name in a long time. What happened to him? I'm not sure.
He got canceled.
Okay, yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Ashley on our podcast said that she hit a deer was a pretty chill story. Apparently you're flipping the truck is a little more of a.
Oh, I didn't mention when I flipped, I hit a deer as we were flipping. Yeah.
Airborne wants to know if you had a match in the desert.
I think I had a match with that truck and I won because it was last man standing. I walked away. So yeah.
Definitely jobbed the truck out, no doubt about it. Chris Frank wants to know, what is a Radley Belmont?
I mean, do you know Rad Hazard is named after a boat?
From a video game, right?
Yeah, from Hydro Thunder. So Radley Bell, obviously to this day, everyone except my lady calls me Rad. Mm-hmm. And Belmont is from Castlevania because Wade came up with it, and he's a big Castlevania mark.
Same thing, yeah. Everybody calls me Rick except for my lady, and honestly, I prefer it that way. But privilege is privilege.
Absolutely.
When the shoes fly, it's a fun time, no doubt. Jovi has his signed shirt from that show. So I remember signing that shirt. Nice. I think I definitely remember the shirt for sure. I think I signed it. Chris Frank. He's on the title. Is that what happened to the U.S. belt? Is that why you had to buy a new one?
Yeah.
Well, there it is. We have Sick Rick to blame for East Coast Rad. That's what popped me in the middle of the interview,
Yep.
Unfortunately.
It's all his fault. All his fault. Okay?
I will 100% take all the recognition for that. I have no problem. Theo Sakara, he's a frequent commenter on GTM. Oh. Rad is on the Mount Rushmore for me when it comes to BYW. That's
crazy.
Big hill.
Thank you, but
that is a big hill. Lib for sure. Do you interview fans? I mean, we haven't yet, but maybe we'll see what's up with that.
I'm a fan of you, Rick. So you interviewed me. I'm a fan.
Absolutely. Loco says defended against me. Loco
okay.
wants
I'll wait by the door. Just come by like before midnight, please. We'll have a match.
Kale is going to blow it. Stupid Kale. Now, if I'm being 100% honest, I don't think I could have given that man any more momentum with It's Not Dead Yet. And then just whenever, like, I'm not on Facebook right now, but I hear maybe there were some rumblings going on there. And whenever that happened is apparently right when the documentary dropped. So, like, Hopefully that kind of smoothed over. I'm sure it did. But I gave this man momentum on a silver platter. All he has to do is just make sure the yard's open and there's a place to wrestle, and I'm sure these dudes are going to show up, Kale. So just do not blow it. We need more podcasts. Of course we do. A podcast about podcasts, fantastic. Chris Frank's been over the hill for years. Loco, he can't even get over the hill anymore. Can't even see over the hill. Chris Frank interview when? Talk to the people for the rates. You know what? I'm not paying it. I'm out on that. We have Justin Parsley, Rick and Rad. Glad you both got the time to share tonight. Thank you. Not sure if I'm too familiar with Justin Parsley. I think he's an Indiana guy. Let's bully Rad again.
Listen, I got enough depression. I bully myself. You guys can't do any more than I do myself. Okay.
Make bullying Rad again. I love all this. I'll be there. And he's putting his shoes on to come take that.
Let's make Rad bullied again.
You know what? I'm gonna star that. Let's bully Rad again because I like it a lot. All right, brother. Well, do you have any bookings coming up? You got GTS. What you got going on?
I do. I'll throw two at you. Next week, this is the name of the show. Okay, it's GTS. I am wrestling at the Penetration Chamber, where I will be defending the top title at GTS, the GTS Legendary YouTube Championship, inside a steel cage against Onslaught. And they ain't no kid steel cage. This is a real deal steel cage. And this weekend, I will be wrestling for the United Wrestling Coalition in New Egypt, New Jersey. It's in America. It's not in Egypt. But I will be defending the UWC tag team titles against Bobby Banks and Iron Bull Argus. And UWC is very cool. Very cool. It's a tiny, tiny little mom and pop company, but they've been around for 28 years. And as far as I know, and I'm pretty sure this is accurate, they're the only active indie wrestling company that has not only had Justin Credible defend the ECW World Heavyweight title there, but has had Gilbert defend the WWF Light Heavyweight title there. And now I'm a champion there. Oh, and Big Boom AJ was his one title reign was the UWC Heavyweight title, and now I'm the tag team title. So I'm not the belt. I'm the champion, tag team champion. So it's Gilbert, it's Big Boom AJ, it's Justin Credible, and then me. And I think that's the 4 pillars of UWC. I'm pretty sure.
Hell yeah, man! Add that to the Wikipedia too. You gotta love that. Well, dude, looking forward to seeing more stuff. Looking forward to talking to you again. Tonight was fun. Had a really good time. I expected us to go between a half an hour and an hour. We maybe went over just a little bit, but we still pretty much hit our time like professionals will do. And, Golden Triangle Media, we have BXW Extra 49 uploaded. We have a couple more random PKM2 matches that I stumbled upon. We have Damn You North Korea 4. Expect to see a lot of this stuff in the coming week, especially because I won't be here to upload new stuff. Music videos are going to be on pause for a little bit, and we'll be getting back around to the It's Not Dead Yet media here pretty shortly. And I'm going to say this on air, even though I don't have to. Make sure you remind me to send that corrupted file over to you. All right, bro?
I definitely will.
All right, man. Well, great talking to you, and we're going to say Golden Triangle Media out for the night.